I think a part of it is to challenge people. Would you consider this in maybe a less dramatic way? Part of it is to get people to help and worship. And Mark, I was touched by this, but one of our African women, I asked her to read scripture, and afterwards she said, "I couldn't believe you did that." And I was reading scripture I was speaking in front of white folks,
Mm.
and gosh, I didn't know I could do that, and I felt convicted by that. And I
Mm-hmm.
said, that's really touching. But yeah, we want to lift people up and say we applaud their gifts. We rejoice with them that they can exercise these gifts. Another one of our new members, and we couldn't remember the last time new members have come in at Lancaster, and we just brought in a few months ago 7 new members. And for some churches that might seem like a small number, but for us it was really significant. And we had persons of color, and we had these young guys that were in their 20s that committed to the church and felt like they found a home here. So we just think that's fantastic. But we want to give people the opportunity to kind of stretch their wings in faith and see what God does with that.
Yeah. That's that is so beautiful. I want to talk more about that. So you mentioned distinctly African sister sharing for the first time in front of white folks, being the honor and the leadership within her being honored in a way that she never seems to be never anticipated. Would you speak to more about what is happening around that? You mentioned new members. Share with us more about that whole story of what God is doing.
Well, at some point, Mark, about 2 years ago, we had some African women that attended our church that just showed up. We didn't know them, and they looked beautiful and were wearing just their very best clothing to honor God and worship. It turned out that they were from Cameroon. And so I thought, well, for one thing, we really want to embrace them and just say it's a joy to have you here. And I think our people want to do that. We started having more and more Cameroonians coming, and it was exciting. This was really a work of God and not anything that we were trying to do intentionally. But we thought, what a tremendous gift! It had been a long time since new people had come to church, and the church, I think, was struggling to know how to reach out. We had hoped at one point to bring, I had hoped to bring the Acostas on board and to do sort of a creative partnership and ministry of outreach to the Hispanic Latino community. That really didn't take hold here. And I think a part of it was just the difficulty in sharing space with what we already had 3 congregations worshiping here. So I'm really glad for them. They have found what sounds like a wonderful home at Newhall Pres. But I was sorry for our sake to lose them. But it turned out that the Lord had something else in mind entirely. So this wasn't on our radar screen, but it was a sheer gift. And they showed up, and they started. It seemed like all of them kept inviting more of their friends and family, and even new arrivals from Cameroon. It turned out that just about all of them are at least bilingual in French and English and French. And my wife is a native French speaker, and I speak French. Um, and so that was fun, and being able to connect with them. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, it's important for me to learn about their culture and to begin to just do a little bit of research, and as well as hearing their personal stories, but to hear about. And I discovered that some things I didn't know, that there's a strong Presbyterian church in Cameroon, and
Mm.
just about all these folks were from background in Presbyterianism, African Presbyterianism, and also that this was founded in the 1850s by the Basel Mission from Basel, Switzerland. And just like American Presbyterians in that same time period, we're starting a presbytery down in Colombia. Uh, Swiss Reformed Christians were starting Presbyterian missions in Cameroon. So that's just been enriching and exciting. So I
Mm.
look forward to seeing how this is going to begin to maybe color and nuance our worship in different ways. And
Mm-hmm.
for the time being, we're sharing food together with potlucks and sharing in worship leadership.
Mm.
And I have my eye on a couple of these folks who have really demonstrated gifts, and looking at them for possible leadership and elderships.
Hmm.
So I'm very much hoping that's going to happen in short order.
That's really beautiful, Randy. When you're sharing these stories, it's making me think of the Presbyterian's first goal is about thriving, vibrant communities. How do we articulate that? How can we become much more, and not much more, but just all of us can thrive at different levels, right? So when we talk about vitality, different markers of vitality. I mean, new members is a marker of vitality. We're talking about new people in worship. That clearly checks off box number 2 about new people worshiping. But I want to know how you have personally and how the community has experienced vitality because of the unique expressions of worship of our sisters and brothers from Cameroon.
Well, I think that's an area that we need to and we want to grow.